Hey, this is Christian Roldan.
And Jordan Morris from the Seattle Sounders Football Club.
And you're listening to
This is Nos Odietis.
This episode of Nos Odietis is sponsored by Full Pull Wines, a Seattle-based wine retailer and proud sponsor of Nos Odietis since 2011. Full Pull was founded in 2009, is based in Seattle, and is owned and operated by longtime Sounders supporters. They offer the best boutique wines of the world to members of their mailing list, with special focus on their home, the Pacific Northwest.
Here we go. Come on! Hey, O'Shan! Let's go!
A sideline fry! The Seattle Sounders have done it! MLS Cup winners!
Here comes Ray through the middle to crown it for Seattle! And now they truly can start the celebrations. It's the Sounders MLS Cup.
Nicola leaves absolutely no doubt! The Sounders rule the region!
Seattle Sounders is going to
They've scored! They've scored! Finally!
This feels fucking awesome.
This is a tiny dog.
Is that what you young people call twerking?
That Porter says cheated.
You wanna win? This is the Seattle Sounders, bro.
Welcome back to Nos Odietis. I'm Jeremiah Shan. Joining me today is Ray Serrano, a former Sounders Academy and Tacoma Defiance player who's currently playing for Louisville City and getting ready to face the Sounders in the Open Cup on Wednesday. So, Ray, first of all, welcome to the show, and thank you for doing this. You've been playing as a wide forward, I guess, for Louisville this year, and you've been enjoying quite a campaign. You got 2 goals, 3 assists in about 600 minutes. You guys are 6-0-1 and looking like you'll be one of the top teams in the USL Championship. I mean, what's it been like for you this year over there?
Yeah. No, first off, thanks for having me. But yeah, this year's just been an amazing year. Started in preseason, had a couple goals, couple assists, and then so far into this first part of the season, I got 3 goals, 3 assists, and it's been really fun. The playing style that we play, I think a lot of that has given me a lot of freedom to play how I want to play, pretty free and enjoy scoring goals and being a part of goals. So yeah.
And so what has been, this is your 3rd year now in Louisville, right? What has been the transition been like? This is the first time. I guess you were kind of living out on your own out here too, because you were away from family even when you were in Seattle, right?
Yeah, I just live with my mom and my little sister in Seattle, and my dad would come every weekend. He tried to come out as much as he could, but he was back in Eastern Washington because of work. But yeah, moving out here has been a huge transition for me for sure, because I've never lived by myself. But it's been really good. I think Louisville is a really nice city. I think it's pretty calm, so there's not a whole lot that I really get myself into other than training and going to the gym. So yeah, it's been a really good experience so far.
So what have you learned about Louisville? What have you how has the, I guess it's a kind of Southern lifestyle, right? It's a little different than Washington.
Yeah, no, really big in college sports out here for sure. And the Derby obviously is going around actually this weekend, and the Derby is a really cool event to go to. And yeah, Louisville's a pretty low key but really fun place, to be honest.
So yeah. Have you been out to Churchill Downs? It sounds like you have been.
Yeah, last year I went to Derby and it was a really good time.
Were you out in the infield? What were you? Tell us about your Derby experience.
We actually had an infield suite. So the whole team got together Derby day and we just placed bets on horses, stuff like that. But yeah, it was just a cool experience.
So, I mean, it sounds like you're having fun. I mean, is this the most fun you've been having playing soccer?
I think this year so far, yeah. Also, my very first year. I'd say last year wasn't the best year for me. physically and mentally, because I just was in and out of the squad. I dealt with an injury at the beginning of the season. There were just a lot going on for me last year, but mentally and physically this year, it's been really fun up to this point. And also my very first year here when we won the Eastern Conference Championship. So, yeah.
So I don't know how closely people in Seattle are paying attention to Louisville, but you guys are off to an amazing start. Like I said, 6-0-1, one of the top teams in the USL Championship. How would you describe the level of the USL Championship compared to what you were playing in? I guess you were also playing in USL Championship here, but how would you compare the level to Louisville to what you saw previously?
Yeah, I think at Tacoma Defiance, playing the USL Championship, it was a bit different because we had a very young squad.
Right.
And it was more about development and helping players either go onto the first team or develop them through Tacoma Defiance. Whereas here in Louisville, players are actually playing to put food on the table for their families, and every year competing for championships. So I think those two are the really big factors that I've seen since I've been here, comparing the two teams that I played on.
And so what's Danny Cruz like as a coach?
He's a really good coach. He's a coach that really, he has a winning mentality. And he's very tactical and makes sure that all of us on the field are tactically aware of our job each weekend. So yeah, he's a hard coach, but he's a coach that wants to win and wants all of us players to be together and to have that winning mentality every weekend.
How much has it helped you personally just to have a consistency, not just with, playing every week, but, you've had a lot of consistency with coaching staff basically the whole time you've been there too, right?
Can you repeat that one more time? You kind of cut up.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, how much has consistency helped both in terms of being able to get on the field consistently, but also in terms of the direction you're getting from coaches and it being the same voices that you're hearing, year in and year out?
I think it's been great so far. I think the coaches with consistently making sure that I'm competing and playing at a high level, or making sure that I'm training well, or making sure that I get my extras in, whatever I need, has been helping me out for sure to this point.
And so, go ahead. Absolutely. So for you personally, where do you set, you talked about how playing in the USL Championship is, you're playing with a lot of veterans, you're playing with guys who are, putting food on the table for their family, not so much looking at it developmentally, but for you personally, you're still only 21 years old. What are your aspirations right now in terms of where you want to take this?
Yeah, I think well, first of all, playing Seattle this week, I think that's something that we played them last year in the preseason. That's something big for me, to be honest, because I can go there and showcase myself and show who I am now compared to a couple of years ago as a younger player. But I think my aspirations are for sure to go to a higher level and play either MLS or play in a first division overseas or something like that. But yeah, for sure my aspirations are to get to the highest level I could potentially get to.
And how big of a test is, how much of an opportunity do you see playing against the Sounders in the Open Cup specifically? A lot of players that you presumably played with when you were here.
Yeah, I think it's a really big opportunity, to be honest. I train and play with almost everyone that's there right now. And I think it's a great opportunity to showcase myself and, like I said, to show how much I've developed to this point.
Do you keep in touch with any of your former Defiance teammates?
Yeah, during the off season, I actually saw Josh Atencio, Cody Baker. I talked to Danny Leva a little bit. Saw Jackson Reagan. Just playing pickup, like just played, just randomly just met them there at the field. I didn't even know they were going to be there, but yeah, I still talked to a couple of those guys and other teammates that play with me at Tacoma. I also stay in touch with a couple of them as well.
So I have heard a couple kind of epic stories about large family contingents of yours coming out to Defiance games. What kind of crowd of family are you expecting out for this game for Wednesday?
Pretty big crowd, to be honest. I got a lot of family and a lot of friends that are going to be out there, and yeah, I think it's going to be great seeing everyone out at the Seattle versus Louisville game for sure.
Do you imagine that they're all going to be decked out in purple, or there's split allegiances in this group?
I'm pretty sure everyone will be in purple.
Okay.
They might have like a Sounder jacket or something, but yeah, for sure they'll be rocking my jersey.
Absolutely. Well, Ray, it's been great catching up with you. I appreciate you doing this, and good luck the rest of the year. It's been great seeing everything that you've been up to, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks. You're listening to Nos Arietes, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to another episode of Nos Arietes. I am Jeremiah Oshan. Joining me today to help preview this Open Cup game against Louisville City is Vince from one of my favorite podcasts, Scuffed. Welcome to the show, Vince.
Hey, man, I'm just happy to be back. Happy to get a return invite back.
That's
to the
right,
podcast, man.
We talked to you last year ahead of the preseason game against Louisville, which was explicitly just so I had an excuse to have you on the podcast.
Yeah.
This time, this is a real game, though. This is a little bit more of a relevant match here.
For all the marbles, some would say.
Exactly. Yeah, sure. We'll call it that. What is the, like, first of all, give us an overview of Louisville. They are not this is a good team. This is not the Washington Generals out here.
Yeah, not the Washington Generals. And you know, if you were inclined to believe that any second division team was the Washington Generals, I got some questions for you.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, Louisville City. If you are in American soccer deep enough to where you are listening to the Nos Arietes podcast, I would assume that, especially the Sounders having such a rich history in soccer in this country, you know what I'm saying? You should be tuned into what's going on below MLS. And if you are, you would know that Louisville City is one of the biggest clubs in the United States of America. There, I said it. That's right. 2 USL championships, have not been in anything less than the Eastern Conference Finals in every year that Louisville City has been a club.
That is impressive.
Which we're in the 10th season, Jeremiah. Did you know that?
You're telling me you guys have been to the Eastern Conference Championship at least all 10 seasons?
That's right.
I did not know that. Okay, that's very. You've got my attention even more. I knew this was and they're having a very good season on top. Like, even by their standards, this is a very good season that they're enjoying.
Yeah, very good season, because like the one thing I talked about all of our exploits right there, but the one thing we haven't necessarily put together is an entire year where we win the league. I'm pretty sure we've done it, but at least once in our 10-year history. But since I've actually been a fan since like 2018, we haven't done it. Haven't won the regular season. Haven't won the league. And so that's what we're trying to put together here, man. You know, so far 6 wins, 1 loss. The one loss coming in a weird midweek rotation match where I think head coach Danny Cruz would do it different if we had to do it all over again. But yeah, so far we're flying.
It's you guys, and Charleston's the other team that's kind of off to a flying start in the Eastern Conference, right?
Charleston, unbeaten so far this year. 7 wins, 3 draws, which is my biggest league away day that I would love to make it to. You know, my wife's a big she's a history teacher. You know, she wants to get to Charleston, see the sights and whatnot.
Yeah.
Eventually we'll make it.
I can see that being a good road trip.
Yeah. Eventually we'll make it when we don't play them on like a Tuesday in April.
There you go. So Danny Cruz, the head coach, you mentioned him. He has, he's a former MLS player, as people may know. He's enjoyed a lot of success though, as a coach at Louisville. How would you describe his ethos? What's his MO?
So we're actually now just getting to the point where his ethos is fully being laid out onto the pitch. Actually, in his, I think this is his third season. He took over halfway through when John Hackworth left. What's he, GM of St. Louis now? John Hackworth.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he is. I think you're right. I think he's involved. He's in somewhere with St. Louis. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember. This is I think it's his third season. He took over halfway through when John left.
Okay.
First full season was last year. I think no. This is 3.5 seasons. Okay. So we're coming into his fourth season as the coach. And this is the first time where he was an assistant under John Hackworth. And everyone knew, for whatever reason, it was just a thing that he loves a 3-back setup. Loves a 3-back setup. When he was an assistant, wouldn't quit suggesting it to John Hackworth. And as a head coach, we stayed in the 4-3-3 because our personnel wasn't necessarily fit to run a 3-back system. But anytime he would get asked about it, he was like, yeah, it's something we're working on. He's trying to get there. And so now we're finally here. We're running out. It's a good old fashioned 3-4-3. And that's it now. Transition from the 4-3-3 that John Hackworth was running. And we're running a 4-3-3, very possession heavy. That's Louisville City ball.
And Ray Serrano, a name that Sounders fans hopefully recognize, and we actually have an interview on this episode with, but he is seemingly a pretty key component of what Danny Cruz is doing. He's been looks like he's been lining up as a wide forward most of the time. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and after a somewhat disappointing, what was last year, 2023?
Yeah.
He came in 2022 was quite promising. But a young kid.
He struggled with injury last year, right?
Yeah, struggled with injury a little bit. He's getting back to it this year. Good player. Very, very technical, tricky. Not necessarily like a pace merchant. He's not slow by any means, but he's mostly going to beat you with ball mastery. I would say. Good player.
Yeah, I liked him a lot when he was here. He was a little on the small side, like he was very skinny. I don't know if he's filled out much, but that was the one knock against him, was just that it was hard to project him as an MLS talent at the time just because of his size. But
can report he has not filled out.
Okay.
He's still quite slight. Yeah, and that'll be his next step. Because you can, like I said, he's not getting away from anybody, and so you can knock him off the ball quite easily. But yeah,
and so just kind of looking at the stat sheet here, Wilson Harris, another player who who seemingly is in the middle of everything that you guys are doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is also Wilson's third year. So really, Louisville City had like a main core, which was the key to a lot of our success. Which is, unlike what you would see in the USL, players are moving all the time. We had a key core that basically just stuck around the club for like 5 to 6 years, and so in 2022 was when we kind of try to start refreshing everything. That's when Ray came in. That's when Wilson also came in. So Wilson's came from SKC2.
Okay.
From LA originally. Came from SKC2. And he's a man up top. The striker, probably our most dangerous player for sure. The one that Seattle needs to make sure they get a hold on if they want to stop this vaunted Louisville City attack. But yeah, man, he's a non-man. He'll run in behind. He's comfortable with the ball at his feet. He'll pick it up and try and run at you. Just a good player. Classic 9. Once again, like the entire club had a down year last year. It's probably like one of our worst years in existence. Still made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Anyway, but like we were terrible. Like we finished like 7th, 6th in the table in the Eastern Conference. Like that's just not something that happens here often. But so yeah, like Ray had a down year last year, but he's back at it, bagging goals for fun.
And so this is a team that 22 goals in 7 games, 22 goals in 7 games. This is a high flying offense. Defense is not bad either. Only allowed 6 goals. One of the players who seemingly is a defensive leader is a player who featured against the Sounders in the Open Cup last year when he was with San Diego Loyal. Kyle Adams is a New Zealand international, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actively getting called up, everything. Yeah, so he came mid-season from the Loyal last year, and that was part of, Danny still trying to acquire players that he felt comfortable could play in that 3-back for him. And so once we got Kyle Adams, that's when we turned into a 3-back team. Yeah, just a rock in the back, man. Just a rock in the back. All of our dudes are, all of our 3 center backs are quite mobile, quite comfortable with the ball at their feet, relatively mobile. We'll see what happens if they come up against like a Jordan Morris or something. It might get a little sticky, but
I wouldn't necessarily expect to see Jordan Morris.
Yeah. We're gonna get into that, but I didn't do that.
This is on paper. It's funny because this is I think San Diego, when the Sounders played them in the Open Cup last year, also ran a 3-4-3. And that was a wild game. I don't know if you knew, it was a 5-4. Sounders won 5-4 on a 120th minute, 121st minute penalty, something like that. And it was just an absolutely wild game. But this is like Loyal. San Diego is not. This is an experienced team. This is and I guess this is sort of one of the positives of the USL Championship. This is not a developmental league. This is a competitive league that is out there. These are professional players that are making their living, feeding their families with these rosters. And you look at the roster; it's all guys in their maybe early-ish 20s, but a lot of guys solidly in the prime of their careers. This is not going to be this is not the lower divisions of old. This is a very competitive league that we got here that has real men ready to play hard-nosed soccer.
Yeah, I was looking up, just going through our 3-back. Say Kyle Adams 27, Wes Sharpie 31, and Sean Tosh, who is our most senior defender, 32.
Right.
And yeah, they bring a lot of experience. I mean, Tosh has been at Louisville City, at least 6 years now, 6 maybe 7 years. Wes Sharpie brings a lot of athleticism to the back line. Yeah, they just we'll see. My questions, to be honest, is it's always with the attack for me when especially when you go up a level. It's just, does your technique it's everything. Does your technique transfer? And more importantly for me, I think the athleticism is just, being able to stretch lines, mm-hmm. and making sure that Seattle isn't just able to compact everything and just kind of choke you out, And unfortunately, our biggest threat on that front, Brian Omby, tore his ACL this preseason. Which if we had him, I'd feel. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the match. But if we had him, I would guarantee you, Jeremiah, that we would cause your backline problems. Just because he is a blur, yeah. And he was starting to, and he had put it together in his old age. to really figure out how to use that. And I think he's a dude that could have, um, maybe ended up a MLS bench guy or something, little impact sub, maybe. But yeah, unfortunately, he won't be with us. RP.
So another player I should ask about, Jake Morris. He is a player who came through the Sounders Academy. He's not from Seattle. I think he's from Florida. He's actually the brother of Aiden Morris, but he is enjoying a pretty good season, it looks like, with you guys.
Yeah, and with the in a 3-4-3, right? We're depending on our two wing backs to get up and down, and help with the defense, help with the attack, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, Jake's been able to do that for us. He's a funny player because he's kind of built like Jordan Morris.
Yes,
maybe even like slightly bulkier, man. Just a big dude out there. So it's fun to watch him just get up and down. But with how we've been playing and the way we tilt the field on our opponents, I'm interested to see how he really looks defensively once we get put under the cosh.
Right.
Out there.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup in this one because the Sounders, I think, will have it's going to be first team players. As in, like, they're MLS, like, I don't think there's going to be, my suspicion is that everyone that starts in this game will be, an actual MLS player and most of them have MLS minutes this year. And there could even be, like, my suspicion is Alex Roldan will probably start this one because he was, he missed the Galaxy game. I would imagine Leo Chu probably starts this one because he didn't start against the Galaxy. Danny Zasowski. Yeah. I mean, these are decent players. And then there's going to be a bunch of younger guys who have at times looked pretty good for the Sounders. But it'll be an interesting one. I think, last year it was, when San Diego came in here, it was interesting because San Diego looked like they were pretty intent on sort of playing, like being the protagonist in the game, which I wouldn't be surprised if Danny Cruz does as well. But the Sounders were able to, you do see some of the skill differences, even if they aren't, like there's not as much refinement sometimes, but it's interesting to see that matchup because, these are players that are used to playing against, MLS talents. And so I think it'll be an interesting matchup. I actually really like these USL Championship MLS matchups. And I don't know, the fact that there's only 8 MLS teams in the tournament this year, I realize diminishes the overall quality of the tournament, but it does ensure more of these intra-league matchups, which I think is probably the most interesting thing about the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the most interesting thing about it for me. I mean, just in the system that we currently inhabit as our soccer ecosystem, the one opportunity you get to cross leagues or whatever. I mean, it's a big occasion. I know it's a big occasion for us. I don't know how y'all feel.
I think it makes it so much more fun. I think that, like, to the degree that we have that I think MLS fans don't have as much interest in the tournament. I think it's a lot because you end up playing the same MLS opponents every year and getting to play I'm stoked when I saw the draw that the Sounders were in a group with, was it Louisville City, North Carolina, and Phoenix? Like, that's on one hand, that looks like a really tough group because it potentially has a lot of travel, but at least you were going to be playing new teams. Like, the Sounders have never played any of those teams in actual competition, which is, to me, the whole fun of this whole tournament.
Yeah, that's all it is, man. That's all it is. But yeah, just happy to see it. It's the unknown for sure. It's just the unknown, and on my side, just the the possibility. The fact that you can dream big. Like there's a radio show that Louisville City basically sponsors every week, and they've just been talking about the fact that, like, the opportunity to be in CONCACAF Champions League is on the line.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Like Louisville City and the Azteca. Like, come on, like you know what I'm saying. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's just the possibilities that the Open Cup can bring you, and yeah, just the matchups and you know the David and Goliath. You know, it's a tale as old as time. You know, you can build that up, the underdog role, all that, all the things why we love sport. You know, the Open Cup brings it to you.
Yeah. So, what are Louisville fans pretty pumped about this one?
Yeah, yeah. We would much rather be at home, but yeah, it is what it is, man. We just love having the opportunity. Appreciate the opportunity. Number one, Seattle.
Was it last year? Was it you guys hosted Nashville last year? Was that right? Am I remembering that correctly? Was that a couple years ago?
Hosted Nashville in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, hosted Nashville in 2022. Had a great turn. I mean, as good of a turnout as you would have in a midweek game for Louisville City. Like it's the best midweek crowd I've ever seen in Louisville City. You know what I'm saying? Like it looked like it was a Saturday night in there. Scored first. Gave up a goal right back, like from the kickoff, basically. Like right after we scored, it stayed at 1-1 tie for a while, and then basically Hani Mukhtar came on, and it was yeah. He created a
That's how
goal.
that goes
and,
sometimes.
Yeah, man. But it was still cool, like to be able to see Hani Mukhtar. You know what I'm saying? Walker Zimmerman came on later.
Absolutely.
Dax McCarty started the game, played the whole game. You know, just to be able to see those guys, man. It was a great match. It was a great match. So yeah, well, we will see. And the thing is, right? We have these players. We have Wilson Harris, Ray Serrano. We have we have Elijah Winder, a young kid who was our first academy signing. His brother Josh, we sold to Benfica 2 years ago. Last year, 2 years ago.
Last year, right?
Last year. Yeah. And just to see. Do these young kids? I mean, they've been killing USL. Do they got this next level in them? And I'm excited. I'm excited to see it.
Absolutely, I am too. Well, Vince, thank you so much for doing this. If you don't know already, Vince is one of the hosts of the Scuffed podcast. Go ahead.
Let me. I just want to ask you a question, just as far as like, how did I assume you're very plugged in, Jeremiah. Sure. You know what I'm saying? What everything's going on. So yeah. Like, how was their decision process to get involved in the Open Cup? Like what was going on in the background as far as like what MLS teams participate in the Open Cup? Was it just a team by team thing where anybody could just?
Oh yeah. So
the
way they apparently the way they, you know, at least this is the public line, is the way they decided it was, you know, they took the teams that were in the CONCACAF Champions League and they excused them from it.
Right.
And then they brought in the Houston Dynamo because they were the defending champion. And then it was just the next 8 teams in the Supporter Shield standings.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically they're treating it like a Europa League qualification type deal. And I don't know how much of that was MLS asking to have fewer teams involved and how much of that was the bracket kind of lining up that way. I'm sure MLS was begging out of it to some degree because MLS wanted some MLS Next Pro teams in it. So basically the 8 teams that were, you know, the 8 teams that are in it from MLS, and then the rest of the USL they're MLS Next Pro teams if they're below that. Right. So I don't know exactly how the sausage was made and how they determined that, but the Sounders were basically the first or second qualifier from that group.
Oh man, you know what? That's a lot less cool than I was thinking. I thought that Sounders were gonna be like, hey, we are vanguards of American soccer. We are,
right.
We are in the Open Cup, buddy. But I mean,
you would like it to be that way. I would like it to be that way,
of course. But regardless,
I mean, the way I look
this
at it is
point,
the Sounders have a chance to be the first MLS team to win 5 USM Open Cups, and that would also tie the all-time record, which is to me a pretty cool. You know, the Seattle area has a pretty rich history of US Open Cup participation, even before the Sounders, or even before the MLS Sounders. The USL Sounders actually made a couple runs to the Open Cup semis as a USL team. So, you know, I like the Open Cup. I think it's one of my earliest Sounders memories. One of my when I got really hooked on the Sounders was actually watching them play the Galaxy at Landon Donovan's Galaxy at Starfire, which is the stadium where this game's going to be played.
Right.
And it's I don't know if you've heard Starfire stories or not, but it's this, you know, it's a small stadium. It's like a 4,000 seat stadium. I'll be interested to see what kind of attendance they get tomorrow, or Wednesday, I should say. But when it's rocking, it's a fun little place, a fun little stadium. So, you know, the Sounders they've never lost in regulation at Starfire. The only time two times they've lost was once in a penalty shootout, and then they lost to the Timbers in overtime there. But it's been a neat little home field advantage for the Sounders. Last year, San Diego obviously pushed them to the brink. That one went to overtime. But yeah, I think it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time.
All right. That sounds good. And you know what? If I'm taking some solace from the fact that the San Diego pushed you. You know because if they can do it, we can do it, baby.
Absolutely. No, I fully want this to be a very competitive game. I'm not going into this remotely overly confident. I don't think. My suspicion is Louisville will be very competitive, and I wouldn't be totally shocked if they won. So, but you know, it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. But Vince, again, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. Scuffed podcast. If you aren't a listener already, I suggest you become one. They are the most fun U.S. national team podcast out there. Maybe the best. Not just the most. The only one I listen to on a regular basis because it's the one I get the most enjoyment out of. And Vince is a big part of that.
That's right. Most fun, most informative too.
I think so.
Got to throw that out there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what pod's giving you minute by minute breakdowns of everything, of every notable moment that happens in a match?
Man, have you done a full breakdown with Adam yet? Where you had to take notes on every single?
Oh yeah. It's a I don't know. It's an exercise. I don't know what it's an exercise in, but it's fun. And the thing is, right? I played college football.
Yes.
And this brings me back to those days of like being in the film room, watching film all the time, critiquing your every last move that occurs on the practice field, on the game field. So it was kind of like flexing that muscle again. So, and I like getting into minutia and stuff like that. So, this person moved their foot because I was offensive lineman, right? Like details are very important, and it's like if you step 8 inches when you should have stepped 4 inches, that might make or break the play. And similar things in soccer. Similar in soccer. But
yeah, I'm amazed at how much you guys clearly are on Y Scout. You guys have. You guys are one to put in the time to track so many players. It blows me away that you guys are able to just kind of pull stuff on like every notable player in the pool. It's wild to me, but I love the podcast. I can't recommend it enough. I hope people go out and become a Patreon, and of course follow Vince on Twitter too.
Yeah.
What's your Twitter handle? Remind us.
V_so spiffy. Yeah. That's me on Twitter. Twitter's really the only social media I use. I got an Instagram account. I don't use it. I got a Facebook account. I don't use it. Twitter.
I hear
Twitter.
you.
Twitter is where I'll be, and I don't even know how long I'm gonna be there. To be honest, it's about time for a break.
Oh, I am very much there with you, Vin. Very, very much there with you.
Man,
All right.
I had kicked it before the pandemic, and then I was like, man, I need news. Where's the best place to get news? I mean, then pop his Twitter back up.
I hear you. I hear you. It's a sickness, but it's hard to beat when you get a good RSS feed going of the world, everything going on in the world. Hard to beat.
Yeah, I mean, truly, man. Yeah. So,
all right. Well, Vince, thanks again for doing this. I'm Jeremiah Shan. This is No Study at This. We'll catch you next time.
We love you. Let's win another one.